Another tough one. Another tough one. Prop 33 expands local government's authority to enact rent control on residential property initiative statute. Put on the ballot by petition signatures. Repeals Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act of 1995, which currently prohibits local ordinances limiting initial residential rental rates for new tenants or rent increases for existing tenants in certain residential properties. Fiscal impact: reduction in local property tax revenues of at least tens of millions of dollars annually due to likely expansion of rent control in some communities. Supporters, Nurses Association, California Alliance for Retired Americans, Mental Health Advocacy Coalition for Economic Survival, Tenants Together. Opponents, California Council for Affordable Housing, Women Veterans Alliance, California Chamber of Commerce. A yes vote on this measure means state law would not limit the kinds of rent control laws cities and counties could have. A no vote on this measure means state law would continue to limit the kinds of rent control laws cities and counties could have. Pro. So, the rent is too damn high. 1 million people have left California. Rent control in America has worked to keep people in their homes since 1919. California's 17 million renters need relief. Homeowners and taxpayers benefit from stable communities. The California dream is dying. You can help save it. Don't be fooled by the latest corporate. So this is the con. Don't be fooled by the latest corporate landlord anti-housing scheme. Don't be fooled by the latest corporate landlord anti-housing scheme. California voters have rejected this radical proposal twice before because it would freeze the construction of new housing and could effectively reverse dozens of new state housing laws. Vote no on 33 to protect new affordable housing in California homeowners. Don't be fooled by the latest corporate landlord anti-housing scheme. So analysis. Analysis by the legislative analyst. Rental housing is expensive in California. Renters in California typically pay about 50% more for housing than renters in other states. More than double the national average, really high. State doesn't have enough housing for everyone who wants to live here. So people who want to live here must compete with other renters for housing, which increases rents. Several cities have rent control laws. Some local governments have laws that limit how much landlords can increase rents from year to the next. They're often called rent control. About 1/4 of Californians live in communities with local rent control. That's 1/4. Places like Los Angeles, Frisco, San Jose. The law limits rent increases. In addition to local rent controls, a state law prevents most landlords from increasing their tenants' rent by more than 5% plus inflation up to a total of 10% in a year. It lasts until 2030. Another state law known as the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act, Costa-Hawkins or Costa-Hawkins, limits local rent control laws in three main ways. First, rent control cannot apply to any single-family homes. Second, rent control cannot apply to any housing built on or after February 1st, 1995. Rent control laws generally cannot tell landlords what they can charge a new renter when first moving in. Instead, rent control can only limit how much landlords increase rent for existing renters. Allows local governments to expand rent control. The proposal eliminates Costa-Hawkins. Under the proposition, cities and counties can control rents for any housing. They also can limit how much a landlord may increase rents when a new renter moves in. The proposition itself does not make any changes to existing local rent control laws. The proposition itself does not make any changes to existing local rent control laws. Generally, cities and counties would have to take separate actions to change their local laws. Limits state ability to regulate rent control. Proposition 33 prevents the state from taking future actions to limit local rent control. Effects on renters and landlords. Fiscal effects. If Prop 33 passes, local rent control laws probably would expand in some communities. This could have many effects on renters, landlords, and rental properties. Some renters who live in properties covered by rent control would spend less on rent. Some renters who live in properties not covered by rent control would spend more on rent. Some renters would move less often. Fewer homes would be available to rent. One reason for this is that some landlords would sell their properties to new owners who would live there instead of renting it out. Because they don't make no money. This is called an income property. Some people buy homes so they can rent it out to people, so they can make an income off their rent. But how do you do that when they're controlling what you can charge? Fewer homes would be available to rent. One reason for this is that some landlords would sell their properties to new home. The value of rental housing would decline because potential landlords would not want to pay as much for these properties. The size of these effects would depend on how many properties end up being covered by local rent control, how much rents are limited. The decline in the value of rental properties would reduce the amount of property taxes. This would reduce property tax revenues for cities, counties. Let's see the arguments real quick. Heavy arguments here. Argument in favor of Prop 33. Where will I live? This is the question that haunts Californians. 17 million renters. 55% of Californians are rent burdened, paying more than 30% of their income on rent, and there was no end in sight. Rent increases are far outstripping pay increases. A starting teacher, cop, or firefighter is paying half their salary to afford the average apartment in California cities. Many who live on a fixed income are one rent increases away from homelessness, and seniors represent the fastest growing homeless population. Something has to give. The affordable housing crisis is destroying the California dream. The Golden State was once a land of opportunity. Things have changed. Nearly 1 million people have left California in the last 5 years. If this mass exodus continues, it will have catastrophic consequences for our state. Uh, California faces a $68 billion deficit, which only get worse as young, talented people leave and the needy remain. Well, hence, why you have so many regulations for people to do business? We love California. It's natural beauty, cutting edge of technological innovation, vast amounts of wealth. Based on the cost of living, we are the poorest state in America. We have way too many seniors, single parents, low-wage workers, and veterans choosing between paying rent and putting food on the table. The crisis is complex. There isn't one bullet to solve it, magic bullet, but the place we have to start is keeping people in their homes. The only practical way to do it is to allow local government to enact and expand rent control, because one size doesn't fit all. We need to build more affordable housing and preserve the affordable units we have. But while we are waiting, we need to protect tenants to keep them housed. When you're in a hole, stop digging. Rent control is an American tradition. 1919, workers and works well in many cities. It was largely shut down in 1995 when the landlord lobby convinced Sacramento to drastically curtail it. Ever since, corporate landlords have made sure that the legislature doesn't modify the law no matter how bad things get. Corporate landlords, like corporations who just own a bunch of property. We understand that mom and pop landlords have invested their life savings into their buildings and can identify with the plight of their tenants. The CA Constitution, it's like that small business idea. These people aren't rich. They work city jobs. They've been working little. They have a small business and they've built enough to. They're entrepreneurial, right? So they buy a property, but they don't live in the property. It's an income property, and they want to have competitive rent prices, right? They want to adjust to inflation and adjust to their community who's also growing in value. Their neighbor's house, the neighbor did some renovations, so the value of their home went up. So now it makes the other houses around their value go up, all right? Or they just made a school around their community. Now the value goes up because there's a school around there. And so, but because with rent control, they can't even adjust the rent. That affects the entrepreneurs or who aren't the rich people. Is a deeply okay. Prop 33 is a deep. Okay, this is the argument against Prop 33. Prop 33 is a deeply flawed scheme that will increase housing costs and block affordable housing. It seems familiar. So if Prop 33 seems familiar, it's because nearly 60% of California voters rejected the same flawed scheme in 2018 and 2020. Seniors, veterans, and affordable housing experts all oppose Prop 33 because it will make the housing crisis dramatically worse. The Housing Action Coalition calls Prop 33 deeply flawed and deceptively anti-housing. Here's why you should vote no on Prop 33, funded by notorious slumlord. Prop 33 was written and bankrolled by corporate CEO Michael Weinstein of AHF. The Los Angeles Times describes Weinstein as a slumlord with a long record of health and safety violations and unfair evictions. State housing regulators cited his residents living in squalid conditions exposed to roach and bedbug infestations. What's his name? Michael Weinstein. Yeah, he looks like a fucking crook. From AHF. President of the AIDS Healthcare Foundation. I really want to see him. I just, I don't know. I just like people like you could just, I don't know. You can't be. I don't know. You just see it on people. I don't know. So, not what it seems. Prop 33 is a Trojan horse that overturns that overturns state affordable housing laws. Not what it seems. Prop 33 is a Trojan horse that overturns state affordable housing laws. If you don't remember, the in order to penetrate Trojan walls, the Achaeans, the Greeks that were on their shores, on the shores of Troy, they pretended to gift the Trojans with a big wooden statue of a Trojan horse, but their soldiers were hiding inside of it, and that's how they breached the walls of Great Troy. It was like the Great Wall of China. The walls of Troy were like their golden walls of refuge. Prop 33 is misleading. The measure could effectively overturn more than 100 state housing laws, including laws making it easier to build affordable housing and fair housing and tenant eviction protections. It could also strip the Attorney General's ability to enforce certain current housing laws. That's why one of the state's most notorious corporate slumlords is bankrolling Prop 33, worsens housing crisis. Economists and housing experts at Stanford and UC Berkeley say Prop 33 will make California's housing crisis significantly worse by reducing the construction of new affordable housing. Prop 33 will make it harder to become a homeowner or find a place to rent, driving up costs for renters and home buyers. Eliminates homeowner protections. Prop 33 takes away basic protections for homeowners and allows bureaucrats, politicians, and regulators to tell single-family homeowners how much they can charge to rent out a single room. It's one side seems like they're Prop 33. If you vote yes on it, it seems like voting no on it seems like the opposite of what the argument for why you should vote yes seems like the same argument for why you should vote no. Eliminates homeowner protections, takes away basic protections for homeowners, and allows bureaucrats, politicians, and regulators to tell single-family homeowners how much they can charge to rent out. Right? Okay, yeah. Like I own that single-family home, but I'm renting it out. You can tell me what to charge. Millions of homeowners will be treated just like corporate landlords and subject to regulations and price controls enacted by unelected boards. Weakens renter protections, undermines the strongest statewide rent control law in the nation, signed by Governor Newsom, and has no protections for renters. Reduces home values up to 25%. Nonpartisan researchers at MIT estimate extreme rent control measures like this result in an average reduction in home values up to 25%. Californians can't afford to take another hit with economic collapse threatening their home values and life savings. Offers no protections for seniors, veterans, or the disabled. Has no protections for seniors, veterans, or the disabled. Veterans, seniors, and social justice organizations agree it's the last thing we need right now. Opposed by a broad bipartisan coalition. Democrats and Republicans agree Prop 33 will make the housing crisis worse. Opponents include California Small Business Association, California Senior Alliance, California Conference of Carpenters, California YIMBY, California Chamber of Commerce, Senate President Pro Tem Emeritus Tony Atkins, Democratic Assemblymember Buffy Wicks, Marine Corps Veterans Association. Demand real housing solutions. We should vote no. Mm, mm. Vote no.